Thanks for the introduction, Eric. So hi guys, I'm Joseph. I'm a developer here at ChronoLogic, and today we're very excited to bring you a couple of development updates that we've been working on for the past couple of weeks. Some of them pretty major, and I think you guys will really enjoy this webinar and to see what we've been working on. So with that in mind, let's get to the webinar. So the first update we would like to talk about is the integration with MyCrypto. If you guys have been following us for a while, you will know that we've been working on this for the past about a month or so, and we've shown some of the results on the previous webinars, but we want to give a new update on what we've been working on. So basically, for you guys that are new to the ChronoLogic, you will know that we've been working on this intensely, and let's just do a short rundown on what it actually is. So basically, we've been working with MyCrypto to add scheduling functionality. Well, what does that mean? So it means that people using the MyCrypto wallet, which is one of the largest wallets currently in the Ethereum space, they would be able to schedule transactions for the future. So MyCrypto allows by default to execute transactions, but what we've been working on is adding a send later button to the MyCrypto interface, which would then connect to the Ethereum alarm clock protocol, and it will use this protocol to run these transactions at a later point in time. So we updated you on the last webinar. We went through the first phase that we had with MyCrypto. So when we started off with this integration, we wanted to kind of set the correct strong foundations for this collaboration, for this integration. And we started working closely together with MyCrypto to make this happen. And our kind of deadline, internal deadline was the new release candidate of MyCrypto, since they've been working on it for some time. And we decided that we want to, for this new release candidate, we want to offer this functionality at least on the Coven testnet, so to get it up and running. So with that in mind, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen the latest webinar where we went through this functionality, but let's go through it again. And I'll also very happy to announce that they have finally we have finally been integrated with MyCrypto. So we've been working hard for the past couple of weeks on building a pull request that would offer all of this functionality to MyCrypto, and we're happy to announce that it has been merged into the MyCrypto repository. It has been included in their release candidate just yesterday. So it is functional, and it is you are able to find this on beta.mycrypto.com, and it's fully functional on Coven. So we won't be going through a huge demo like we did last time, but let's just see how it currently works. So if you go to beta.mycrypto.com, you will see that you have this interface. This is the default MyCrypto sending tokens interface. So what you do is you sign in with your wallet, and you're presented with this interface. So what we've been working on basically is this button. It's called Send Later. And by pressing this button, you are able to schedule a transaction for a later point in time. So let's try to do like a small transaction. So what your usual workflow would be without this scheduling part. You would just paste your address here. You would say the amount of Ether that you want to send, and you would press send transaction. Right, this transaction would be executed. But with our additions, you can press this send later button, and you can choose a date and time at which the transaction will be executed. So let's choose tomorrow. Let's choose you can choose a time zone, and these are the other additions as well. We covered these on the previous webinar, so we won't go through through them in detail. But if we press schedule transaction, it will say, okay, this is a testnet transaction. Since if you would like to try this, make sure your provider is set to Kovan here. If your provider is not set to Kovan, it will try to connect to the mainnet, and we are currently in the process of deploying it to the mainnet. So for now, make sure you're on Kovan and you will be able to schedule these transactions. So let's press schedule transaction. We'll send it, and it says, so your transaction has been broadcast to the network. So here, if you press this button, check on Chronos, it will direct you to our Chronos DApp, where you will be able to see all the details of the scheduled transaction. So once you schedule this transaction, it goes through the regular mining process. You can also follow your transaction here on Etherscan. It automatically provides you with a link. And if we wait a short while, it would, after it's done mining the transaction, we will be able to see that the transaction has indeed been scheduled. So, so we scheduled the transaction for, let's say, 12 a.m. tomorrow. And if we check here, it's in this time zone. So that's it. So you can play around with that, see how it works. And we're happy to announce that this is finally in the MyCrypto release, and we have been working on getting this far for the past couple of weeks. So we're happy that this has finally happened. And now we're moving on to further steps of this integration, which is getting it to the mainnet. And another thing we would like to say, so we got really good feedback from the CTO of MyCrypto, with whom we have been working very, very closely. And we'll just read a couple of words he says. So he says, I know I can speak for myself and the MyCrypto team when I say how much we're excited to bring scheduling transactions to Ethereum with such a great team as yourselves. And we definitely echo these words back towards them. They have been a pleasure to work with, and we have, both MyCrypto and ChronoLogic have learned a lot from the starting point of this integration, and we're looking forward to to the next steps. And so now that we have MyCrypto covered, I think you guys will agree with me that this is pretty exciting. But let's continue onwards with some other announcements. So another thing we would like to update you guys with is the new Chronos protocol. So for the past couple of months, we have been thinking of certain. We have been learning about the Ethereum Alarm Clock protocol and about all of the aspects of it, and we have seen ways in which we can improve this protocol. So we have started work on a new protocol that would be sort of like an improved version of the Ethereum Alarm Clock protocol. So we are very excited about this. This has been a great experimental learning curve for us, and we have been able to achieve some cool stuff. So we'll just update you on a couple of things regarding this new protocol. So so basically, same as the Ethereum Alarm Clock, it is a transaction scheduling protocol. So what it does, it allows you to schedule transactions for the future. So some of the improvements that we have added compared to the existing Ethereum Alarm Clock protocol are, first off, cost effectiveness. So what we have done there is using a couple of methods, namely IPFS. We have been able to lower the costs of scheduling transactions, which has been kind of like some feedback that we got, that some of these scheduled transactions can be quite costly, and we have managed, with these new additions, we have managed to reduce the cost of scheduling by 90%, which is, I think, that's pretty amazing. The second thing that we have been working on is we would like to we're building this protocol with a couple of scheduling types in mind. So the first scheduling type is temporal scheduling, which is how the current Ethereum alarm clock protocol works. So basically, you are able to schedule a transaction for a later point in time, right? But what we have been adding as well as conditional scheduling. So we'll go through that a bit later in one of the slides, but this is something pretty exciting. Another thing, so improved claiming mechanism. So this is something that our day token holders will surely appreciate. So we'll get to that. And one thing that we have been kind of experimenting with is confidential transactions. So let's go through some of these things in more detail. So basically, let's cover the two types of scheduling. So what we have is temporal scheduling and conditional scheduling. So temporal scheduling, same as before with the Ethereum alarm clock, you choose a point in time, a block number in the blockchain, and it will get executed at that time, right? So in this new protocol, there won't be a lot of changes to this except like the improved efficiency and kind of like scalability of it. So we're really happy about that it's going to be more effective than the current Ethereum alarm clock protocol. The second type is conditional based scheduling. So this is something that we're really pumped about, and this is basically so what is this conditional based scheduling? So this conditional-based scheduling triggers transactions based on a certain action within the blockchain, right? So a change of state in another contract. And I think this is pretty amazing, as you would be able to, let's say, schedule a transaction to be run at a time, let's say when Ether reaches a certain value, right? Ether reaches $500. Okay, I want to run a transaction as soon as Ether reaches this value, which I think is pretty amazing to do this kind of stuff in a purely decentralized way, which is how we are building it. So it's just amazing. Another use case, some other use cases would be basically any other state that you're following, any other contract, you will be able to bind a transaction to be scheduled upon a change of this state. And that's something that I think a lot of people will surely appreciate, and something that is currently not existent and will be just amazing. So a second thing that we've been working on this new protocol is the claiming mechanism. So I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with the claiming mechanism. If you have any questions around how it currently works, you can just post them in the chat, or if you have any questions about anything that I have been through so far, just leave them in the comments below, and we'll just go through them at the end of the webinar. So the claiming mechanism, right? So what the claiming mechanism allows in this new protocol is it allows day token holders to have priority over executing transactions. So in this new protocol, of course, it is an open protocol, so anybody would be able to become a time node and execute these transactions that people are scheduling. But what we want to do is we want to benefit day holders by offering some sort of like a priority mechanism for executing these transactions. So if you are a regular time node without day tokens, you are still able to execute transactions, but you would have to execute them, try to execute them at the exact point when they should be executed. So it is kind of like you're kind of racing with other time nodes to execute these transactions. But if you are a day token holder, what you can do, depending on your amount of day tokens, you are able to claim these transactions as soon as they are broadcasted to the network. So if there is a transaction broadcasted to the network, so a day token holder time node can claim this transaction and say, okay, I want to run this transaction when it's scheduled to be executed. And depending on the amount of data tokens, you will be able to do this in a more frequent way, right? So if you have a low amount of data tokens, you can probably schedule your you can probably claim transactions at like a smaller slower rate than a person with more data token holders with more data tokens. So this is a very experimental transaction claiming mechanism, and we have implemented a code, and now we're kind of going through some testing and just seeing if we can fine tune it in some ways. But we think this is pretty exciting as our data token holders will be really happy about it. So yep, let's go through the last thing. So let's just go through like a short rundown of how this system looks. So basically we have the user here who would schedule transactions, and he would schedule them either as a conditional transaction or as a temporal transaction. So depending on which transaction has been scheduled, these schedulers would inform the event emitter, which would inform the time nodes that new transaction has been scheduled. And these time nodes, so there's another improvement that we are working on with the time nodes as well, as time nodes are not just always listening to events, or not just always checking, okay, is there a new transaction? Is there a new transaction? Is there a new transaction? But it's in a kind of like a listening mode. So it just waits for these events triggered by the event emitter, and once it sees that a transaction has been scheduled, if it's a data token holding time node, it would try to claim this transaction, and this is a pretty cool way that this has been built. So this is definitely an improvement over the existing protocol. And what we have here on this side, we have IPFS, which is not sure how many of you guys are familiar with IPFS, but IPFS basically it's called the Interplanetary File System, and it's sort of kind of like a storage solution for storage solution on the blockchain. So how we use it here is, instead of storing all of the transaction parameters into the smart contract that is in the blockchain, we would store this transaction information onto IPFS, and then store the transaction hash that we get from hashing this data. We store it into the smart contract. And so basically, how does this work? So this means that we only store this one parameter in the smart contract itself, which lowers the amount of gas that is being used when deploying these transactions. So this was one of the optimizations that we've done for allowing cost-effective transaction scheduling. And I mean, if you guys haven't checked it out, check out IPFS. It's an amazing system, and we think that this is a great use case for that as well. So so you guys, if you have any questions about this diagram or exactly how the new version of the Chronos protocol, of this new version, improved version of the scheduling protocol, just post some questions in the chat box, and we'll be sure to answer them at the end of the webinar. And so one final thing that we would like to go through, and we think it's just a great deal, a huge deal in the Ethereum space, and we would like to announce that we have enabled scheduling token transfers. So what you can do with this scheduling mechanism is, as you guys have seen our Chronos DApp, we have allowed scheduling transactions, but what we have added is an option to also schedule token transfers. So basically, how does it work? So we have the so as far as we're concerned, as far as we know, this is the only purely entirely decentralized way of scheduling token transfers, and also it is a first kind of like an on-chain transfer scheduling solution. So we think this is just a great news, and that a lot of our maybe day token holders, maybe holders of any other ERC20 token would surely appreciate. And so what we have been working on these past couple of weeks is getting these changes in code and just pushing it to the repo. And soon we will have a release on app.chronologic.network that that will contain these changes. So for now, it is already in code. It is already in the repo. We're just on our next release, this will be pushed to app.chronologic.network. So you will be able to try it out, see how it works. And with the upcoming mainnet release, we think that this is just an amazing tool that we've been built. So this was posted as well on the Ethereum Reddit and has gained quite a couple of upvotes. So I think people are really excited about this, and we know we are. So let's show just a small screen of how it works. So basically, this is the screen from the Chronos DApp on app.chronologic.network, and you can see here that we have added a button for scheduling token transfers. So once you toggle this button, this view changes from scheduling transactions to scheduling token transfers. And so how it works basically is you would input your token address over here. So this would be the address of where the token was deployed. You can probably find it on Etherscan or some other blockchain explorer. You would put in, it would automatically detect what is the name of the token, what is decimals, and what is the balance that you currently have of these tokens. And you would put in the address of the receiver and the value, the amount that you would like to send, and you would continue on as usual with the scheduling. And we think this is pretty amazing. So soon will be released to app.chronologic.network. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, follow us on Telegram, follow us on Twitter. This is where we post all the updates, and you will check out our blog.chronology.network, where we have all the updates, and make sure you're properly informed about all of these new additions. So thanks, guys, for listening. These are basically the three announcements that we wanted to make today about the changes that we have been working on. Hope you guys really liked what you saw, because we are very excited and we've been working on this for quite a while now. And I think this will be just amazing. So let me just, I think we can go to the questions and answers. So if you guys haven't already, you can post some questions in the box below, and we can go through some of them. So we have a question here from Next Level. Okay, is there any EAC version 2 time node that we can test, especially especially okay, the EAC GSCL GitHub. Okay, so EAC, so this new protocol, so we do not have currently time nodes to test this, as this protocol is still in the experimental phase. I think the first steps for us here in deploying this new protocol is to get it up and running on the protocol level. Once we have the protocol level, we would continue on with updating all of the JavaScript tooling, right? So we would update the Ethereum Alarm.JS libraries, build some tooling around it. Then once we have the tooling, we would start with the time nodes, right? So you can expect that in the near future as we get closer to releasing these, the new protocol. But for now, the changes are mostly on the protocol level. Okay, let's see some other questions. Can an existing Trezor account set up with myetherwallet.com access MyCrypto? My timement is tied to a Trezor MyEtherWallet address. Okay, thanks for the question, Brendan. So so basically on our DApp, what we have is you only need to sign a single transaction when you are asked to prove that you are a time node. So you can sign this transaction through MyCrypto. They do support Trezor. They support Ledger wallets, hardware wallets. They support keystroke files if that's what you want. Private, you can also import your private key and things like that, which is not something we would recommend. But definitely you can use your Trezor with MyCrypto, and you can just purely use it to sign the transaction. That said, you do not need to run the time node off your Trezor, so you can create basically the first step of creating the time node is to create a new wallet, and this is what we recommend, is just creating a blank wallet and starting off with that. But purely using your Trezor account to prove that you are indeed a token of a holder of date tokens. So let's see some other questions. Let's see. So what is the advantage of having a time mint over just holding 333 day? So the advantage is that it is kind of time mint is equivalent with at the current state it is equivalent to having 333 day tokens. So it does not benefit you a lot, except you do not have to be a holder of 333 day tokens to become a time node. You immediately can become a time node regardless of your day token balance if you are a time mint. Yep. Okay. I think if you have any other questions, you can post them. I think we're out of time. So if you have any other questions, guys, post them on Telegram, post them on, follow us on Twitter, and we'll be sure to answer these questions. And stay tuned. Check our GitHub repository. There's some pretty cool stuff there. Hope you guys enjoyed this as much as we did, bringing you these news about MyCrypto, about scheduling token transfers, about the new Chronos protocol, and stay tuned for the next webinar where we will go into more detail about some of these. So was great having you guys. Thanks again.